what's poppin', people? Welcome back to the channel, to my channel. So today I have a dope video that I'm actually really grateful and just happy to be filming today. As you can see, I have extra ass makeup, but this video is going to be dedicated to Aaliyah, the late singer that passed away in 2001 tragically in an airplane crash. Okay, before I get into anything, this look was inspired by her We Need a Resolution video, and I will insert either a clip or a picture so you guys get the vibe. But Aaliyah, I guess I'll just start off by saying like her influence on my life and just like how much I appreciate her as an artist and like everything that she did. And like throughout this video I'm going to be talking about like just like her influence in general, dude, and like how she if you know anything about me, is that I love R&B. I'm like a freaking fan. Like I don't even know, like an enthusiast. I'm an R&B enthusiast. More predominantly 90s and 2000s. I grew up in the 2000s, but the 90s is just like, I was born in the 90s, but it's just such a different vibe. And if you know anything about R&B, you would know, you know what I'm saying, you know that. But yeah, Aaliyah definitely, like, she started in like 1994 her career. She was really young, like she was 15. She's originally from Detroit and then moved to Brooklyn, New York. There's a lot to kind of get into, so I don't even know where to begin, but I'm just like, we're gonna talk about everything in alleged throughout this whole video, because I don't want, you know what I'm saying, the Illuminati or the government coming behind me off of speaking about this. But I just feel like it's really needed to be spoken about, and like Aaliyah deserves that respect. Like, I don't know, just as a person and like as an artist, like her contributions to the R&B genre and like to fashion and like just what she contributed as a person to the, you know, overall pop culture, like, needs to be talked about. And I did a video like this, like similar, regarding Little Kim, because the thing is oftentimes like people talk about, you know, Little Kim and in different ways, but most of the time like a lot of people aren't really informed or like, you know, have the real tea behind each individual artist. And I think it's so easy to just go off of like, oh, just judging them like off top, but not really like knowing their background or like what really like went down in their life and influenced them, because at the end of the day, like, artists are still human beings, and I feel like we tend to think that just because they're artists, they don't have a right to really be like human beings or have any type of feelings, period. So I guess I'll start off by her early years. So like when she, okay, first of all, Aaliyah had been grinding for I don't know how long, okay, until she made it like big to the point that she became the icon that she is today and that we recognize her as today. But there used to be the show called Star Search, and I believe it was early 90s or 80s. I believe Beyonce was also in like a show, like a similar show like that, when she was in like her whole come up, but that's a totally different story. But like
your dream. From Detroit, Michigan, welcome 10-year-old Aaliyah Hutton.
Funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with your heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art. Is your figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? Are you smart? Don't change a hair for me, not if you can.
Aaliyah didn't win like the competition, and she just was really like, she really loved obviously singing and then acting and all that, but I guess she never really gave up and then made it big like in 1994. So she only released 3 studio albums in her entire life, and she died when she was 22 years old, people. 22. She started when she was 15 and died when she was 22. Like, it was, that's wild. I'm 23, so I'm like that's crazy to me to think about. But yeah, so she released only 3 studio albums. All albums are freaking iconic in their own way. Like, in 1994, her first album, The Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, I'll put the cover too, iconic. Like, her flow, her vibe, her outfits, her vocals, most importantly. Let's not forget the vocals, because she definitely has her vocals. But like, the overall aesthetic and vibe of her first album is iconic, to say the least. Her second album, One in a Million, iconic, to say the least too. From that album we got songs like Hot Like Fire, One in a Million, The One I Gave My Heart To. Like, so many vibes, you know what I'm saying? And I think this is another thing that I want to emphasize throughout this video. It's like, Aaliyah was a whole fucking vibe. Like, I think the people don't understand like how much of her impact in the R&B genre, just off of like her vibe and like what she brought to the table, because no one was making music like Aaliyah. If you listen to her shit, it's completely different than any other artist. And I'm willing to say that Aaliyah literally, it has probably the most versatile like discography, how do you say that? Or fuck, I can't think of the word. Oh, she just has range, okay? Like, that's what I mean. Like, throughout her, like, her music, she just has so much range and so many different vibes and aesthetics, and like, you know what I'm saying? Her visuals were always like off top, like just dope as fuck. Like, first of all, Timberland produced half her shit too. Like, so what I'm saying is, and then her last album, which was her self-titled album, which went #2 on the Billboard albums, or in the Billboard charts when it dropped. And she died filming. Okay, so that album is iconic, to say the least. Like, really a lot of iconic songs on there. And that's where Rock the Boat, that's the album that Rock the Boat was on. And that was, as you may or may not know, her last, like the last, what's it called? The last music video that she filmed in her life. And after that, that's when the whole airplane crash happened. So let's get into, well, I guess we'll talk about the platform, the streaming platform thing, because when I tell y'all, that's like probably one of the most annoying things to me. Like, but there's so much conspiracies and like stories behind the reasoning to why we cannot stream her music nowadays. So everybody, obviously, if you're alive in 2019, 2020 almost, I'm filming this like 3-4 days before 2020, but yeah, like, her albums cannot, her 3 iconic albums, there's only one that can be streamed out of all of them, which I'm not gonna hate. Obviously, I love that album, like the first one, but dude, as an artist, like, we really saw her develop like as an artist, like in those 2 other albums. Like, I would say those were the most iconic, like, signature Aaliyah albums, you know what I mean? And so we can't stream none of those on like Spotify, on Apple Music, on Tidal. Like, those can't be streamed. And there's a lot of reasoning behind that, and that's what I want to get into right now. So basically, like, and obviously you guys can look this up on your own. Like, everybody's free to believe whatever they're gonna believe, you know what I'm saying? Freedom of speech, all that. You know, like, believe what you want to believe, but I just find it very ironic. So, and it's just like wild, and it makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like, one of the biggest things that keeps on continuously like repeating itself throughout history is money and corruption. Money equaling corruption, corruption equaling money, like back and forth, you know what I'm saying? So I don't doubt that this was the real thing. If you look up like individually Aaliyah's albums and like just her career period, at the time that she was like popping off and all that, like, you have to understand, this is literally like you know, when the music labels and all that was really, really popping. You know, nowadays we see a lot of artists that are like more leaning towards like the independent and like owning, you know, Nipsey Hussle, he owns his whole joint, like, you know what I'm saying, he owns everything. So the royalties and all that. But at the time, like, it was the label is what puts you on. Like, they didn't have social media, they didn't have all these other things like to help them out. So basically she was signed to her label, and the label she was signed to was, this is when it gets crazy, because it has to do with her family, which is wild, because, and it makes sense, because it's like, if you think about it, there hasn't really been anything made about Aaliyah's life or anything regarding Aaliyah. Like, there's said to be that they're gonna make another Aaliyah movie, but I don't know when that's gonna happen. 1 and 2, the movie they did on Lifetime about her life was trash, like 100% trash. Nobody was fucking with that movie. They couldn't even use her music. How you gonna make an Aaliyah movie without Aaliyah's music? But anyway, so basically she was signed to a label that was signed to some man that was her uncle. So the dude, he's actually Gladys Knight's, I don't know if you guys know who Gladys Knight is, Gladys Knight's ex-husband, I think, but he was her uncle, so he was like in the industry and all that. She signed to him, and after that, you have to understand, I want everybody to also understand throughout this video, that an artist is worth even more when they die. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw that out there, because like, if you think about it, like, people compete, like, you know, Michael Jackson, one of the biggest selling like artists period in history, right? When he died, they skyrocketed even more. So like, when an artist dies, like, they make more money, essentially, even more. So to set up a artist and like basically set them up to the most, like somebody like Aaliyah that had, you know, that much talent and that much natural charisma, like, no one's like Aaliyah. Literally, there's no other artist that can be compared to her. Like, name one, because I can't name one. She was that original. And so it's like, you know, to have an artist like her, they were probably profiting a lot. There was a lot of money involved, more than we can probably fathom. And you know, family got involved too. I'm obviously, you know, this is just me off of the research that I've done, the documentaries that I've watched, the articles that I've read, everything that I've done. I even watched a whole like reading on her life and like spiritually and all that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was a lot of people that were behind the scenes, like tinkering with shit and just like moving in a very fucked up way towards her, and not really wanting to see her win, and just like trying to benefit off of her as an artist. And they did that. Till this day, again, we have no access as Aaliyah's fans, or anybody really, like, no one can access her music. Like, you can't access it on stream platforms because they won't allow it, and they won't like release it at all. Like, but they're still making money off of that in some way, shape, or form. So it's wild to think that someone's life. That's another thing, that back to the little airplane crash and stuff, like the airplane crash that she tragically died in August 25th 2001. The airplane that she passed away on, she was actually scared of small airplanes. That's what her boyfriend said at the time, that she was actually really frightened of like getting on small planes, but she had to get on a plane from the Bahamas to Miami. Her boyfriend was Dame Dash, and he was one of the founders of Rockaware, as you know, Rockefeller with Jay-Z, all that. So she was dating him, and basically she was set up to get on that plane, and the plane, you know what happens, like that was set up. Her dying was a setup. And it's so insane that people will let money and greed get and I know this turned very dark, but I just feel like it needs to be out there. I don't know if anyone even cares, but I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like it's something that needs to be spoken about, because money and corruption will really just fuck up everything. Like, there's literally, they robbed everybody of an amazing talent, an amazing artist, an amazing person, because I don't know, if you like really hear Aaliyah's music and all that, like you just hear how much of like a soft, easygoing like spirit she was. And you know, like she worked very, very hard to get to where she was. So it's like for people to manipulate and do what they did, because you know, later on they found out that that airplane, the person that was driving the airplane wasn't authorized to drive that airplane, and he actually had been caught up previously, like not that long before, with cocaine and trafficking cocaine and all that. So it was a setup for sure, but no one wants to really talk about it. So yeah, Aaliyah's legacy as, you know, that bitch will just continue to remain and evolve. And I just hope that if you're younger, if you're the young generation, please, you know, use YouTube and look up Aaliyah and, you know, tap into her music, because when I tell you, she was truly like one of a kind. There's nobody like her, and I don't think there ever will be. And I'm just really appreciative of Aaliyah for sharing her art and sharing her personality, and you know, just who she was, or the artist and creative person that she was. So and I'm making this video out of respect to her 100%. Like she's really just iconic in all ways, and I hope that you know, her legacy continues to be respected the way it's respected, because that's all she deserves. But yeah, if you have any commentary and any, you know what I'm saying, any feedback regarding these videos, I want to do more videos about artists and stuff, especially artists that I'm passionate about, just because like I really be knowing the details, because I really be doing my research. Like again, I'm gonna link down below my my Little Kim video that I did, like shit, probably 2 years ago already, and I was just speaking on Little Kim's life, because Little Kim's story is like one, I don't understand why there's no biopic yet, but her story is one of a kind, and her life story is just crazy. Like I really don't think there's any story like it, and I feel like a lot of people tend to not be informed again and just kind of talk out of their ass about all artists. But you really got to know your history, and you really got to know your facts, because if you're coming from that angle, you know, you're not really gonna, you're really just gonna be misunderstanding people for no reason. But yeah, not to make this video too long, even though we already like damn near 17 minutes in. I hope this video was informative. I hope you learned something about Aaliyah. I hope that you peep her music on YouTube. Half her shit's on YouTube, and none of it is on streaming platforms, and I don't know when that's gonna change, but until then, I definitely copped the CD because we definitely need to keep her music alive. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. Please share this video if you would like to share this video, only if you want to. Like, subscribe, only if you want to. And I will see y'all in my next video.